Hi folks, David Waring here again with InformedTrades.com and our third video in a series on the fall of Bear Stearns. Now that we have a general overview of the situation and a good understanding of Bear Stearns' business from our first two videos in this series, we can now take a look at the two opposing arguments as to whether or not the government and or the Federal Reserve should have gotten involved in trying to save the firm and whether they should get involved in these types of situations at all. The first argument goes that it's the financial institutions that get themselves into this mess, so it should be the financial institutions that get themselves out of this mess, and that's only logical, is what the people that argue this argument say. There's basically two basic things that they back this argument up with, which is anytime the government intervenes in a situation like this, or the Federal Reserve intervenes in a situation like this, that normally means that the taxpayer gets stuck with the problem, which can mean a very large bill that it gets paid with taxpayer money. So the basic argument here is, why should the taxpayer get stuck with this problem and get stuck paying the bill here when the taxpayer had nothing to do with the problem? The second argument is a little more complicated, goes that when the government and or the Federal Reserve intervenes in these types of situations, it creates something which is known as moral hazard. What moral hazard is basically when people act more recklessly or do things that they otherwise would not when they feel like someone is going to be there to bail them out if they get into trouble. So the basic argument here is that by intervening in these types of situations, the government and or the Federal Reserve makes similar types of situations or even worse types of situations more likely to happen in the future, because these firms feel like they can act recklessly, and if they get into trouble, then the government or the Federal Reserve or someone is going to be there to help them. The other side of this argument, which we began to look at in our last lesson, is that if a financial institution that is this large and this intertwined into the financial system is allowed to fail, then, especially in the current environment when everything is already on edge, then the whole financial system itself is in danger of coming crashing down. There's basically two parts to this argument as well. The first of which is that if this were allowed to happen, the negative consequences would not be contained just with the financial institutions who got themselves into this mess, but there would be severely negative effects on the economy and therefore the average citizen. So the basic argument on this point goes that the negative consequences of any bailout or the tax bill from that bailout and the effect on the taxpayer there would be much smaller than the negative effects on the same citizen if we did not bail the bank out and the financial system did experience the problems as a result. The second point here is that the bank now is essentially out of business. A lot of its employees are going to lose their job, and billions of dollars in shareholder wealth has been erased as a result of the mistakes this bank made. So the point here that the people who make this argument make is that the argument for moral hazard is very small. There are many debates surrounding this issue of whether the Federal Reserve should have intervened in the Bear Stearns situation, which you're probably going to continue to hear about in the news for many months, if not years to come. So with this in mind, we're going to actively be following the discussion in our Subprime Learning Center at InformedTrades.com, so we hope you visit there. That completes our lesson for today. In our next lesson, we're going to look at exactly how the Fed did go about intervening and what the lead up to that was in the days before their intervention. And this was a very interesting case here, so we hope to see you in that lesson. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and have a great day.